Welcome to the Open Doors podcast. I'm Janine.
I'm Marissa.
I'm Yvette.
This is a place where we would like to welcome you into our stories of rising and of falling, of laughing and of crying, of loving and of losing. We aren't perfect. We definitely don't have it all together. We don't even fully understand, but we do have each other. And because of that, we have an open door.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. How's everybody doing today?
I'm doing well.
I'm doing great.
As you can see, that voice belongs to James, not Yvette. Yvette's not with us this week because she was feeling a little bit under the weather. We miss you, Yvette. We can't wait till you come back next week.
We miss you, Yvette. We love you. Welcome back, James.
Thank you. Praying for you, Yvette.
Hope you feel better. So this week, we were thinking about what to do, what topic we wanted to speak on. And I'm thinking of gifts. The word gifts was the word that really came this week. And it actually came on a walk with James. We were just walking and we were just talking about like the simple things, like the things in life that you're really thankful for that are simple. They're not anything huge. They're not out of the ordinary, but they're just like the simple idea of like, say, Christmas is coming. And James was saying how he couldn't wait until the Christmas tree is out and the lights are on and maybe just hanging out under the tree and having hot cocoa. I was like, I love that. Like, I love the simplicity of it. I love the idea of being able to just be together like that and just like spend time and appreciate the season that you're actually in. And I feel like that's a gift. And maybe that's a word that we need to reflect on a little bit with our listeners, because sometimes we forget that little things like our little miracles are gifts.
Yeah, when you guys brought up the word gifts this week and I began reflecting on it, at first I was like, what the heck are we going to talk about? But after that, I couldn't stop seeing gifts. I couldn't stop using the word gifts. I thought of the gift of friendship. I thought of gifts people have bought me. I thought of, the sky is so beautiful this morning. What a gift. It almost could be used interchangeably with the word miracle. But I love that gifts are a way of, we could look at them like in twofold, because we can give gifts or we can receive gifts. And I think we'll, hopefully throughout the episode, maybe tie in this beautiful way of in giving how we receive.
Mm-hmm. St. Francis of Assisi, shout out. We love you.
Yeah. And how perfect as we get ready for the Christmas season. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I've had quite a few gifts this week, including even just like running outside when it's dark out and the moon's out. And it's just so peaceful. And then maybe even watching my brother try to cook cookies, or I'd say bake cookies. And the oven might be at war with him. And he'd be like, just cook already. It's just the joy that comes from, and the joy and peace that comes with both of those. There's so many gifts that maybe we don't even see.
I love that. It reminds me of, you did speak of that this week, which I found to be fascinating. We were also talking one night and James was talking about how one of his favorite things to do is when it starts to get dark earlier and they have to run at the gym for the boxing team. They have to go out and do these drills. And he was saying how like they really love it when it gets dark. There's like a peace to it. And all I could think is running does not usually associate with a peace to me, but I love that you could see that in that difficult task, the ability to receive that gift, even if it might seem crazy to me.
Torture.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think for me, I'm like, oh God, it's bedtime at 6:30 because it's gotten dark, but then you receive it as a gift. And I think that's a really cool thing to look at. I'm looking at the couch, Janine, that you're sitting on, and this couch was such a gift to me, and I think to us, because I thought about what to do with this room as I moved into the house and knew I needed to buy another piece of furniture. And just in conversation with my grandma, and my grandma's like, you should come check out the couch that I have upstairs. And I was like, okay. And I walked upstairs and saw the couch, and it was perfect. It was perfect for this room. It was perfect for our little studio. And yeah, just what a surprise gift. And I think sometimes gifts are the ones that people don't necessarily buy for us, if we're talking specifically about items. And sometimes they are. I'm remembering my husband, Brian, bought me 3 Christmas gifts very soon after we met. We met just before Thanksgiving. And so I didn't really expect anything for Christmas. In fact, I'm not even sure I bought him anything. But I got to his house right before or after Christmas, and he sat me down on the floor. We were sitting Indian style, and he had 3 gifts wrapped. He always had to give me gifts in a specific order up until the very last Christmas we had together. And the first gift was my favorite coffee. And the second gift was books for my classroom as I was starting to set up my classroom. And the third gift was a watch. And every gift just made me feel like I was seen and known by him. And it was such a beautiful, way of receiving his love. And Sonny was such a gift too. As he enters into our room, if you hear him, he's a little extra chatty today. But yeah, Sonny was one of the biggest gifts I received also in my life. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love hearing that about Brian because I know it's true. I remember he was such a great gift giver. Like I would always look forward to knowing like, what did Brian get you? Because it was always so good. It was like he knew you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that all of our episodes are kind of linked in that way. It's like in order for Brian to really know you, know what gifts to get, he needed to know you. And you were open enough to allow him to see you. And so it like ties into like being seen and being known. And for me, it's always about trust. Like it's always like I can't really let myself be seen and known unless I trust you. And it's interesting that this is kind of all linking together. But the truth is, in order to trust, you have to be seen. In order to be seen, you have to kind of be known. And then that opens the door, open doors. It opens the door to trust, which opens the door to gifts. And I can't help but say, like, that's the same thing with God. It's the same thing with your relationship with God. It is layered. It does have that sense of like, now I met you. Now I've been seen. Now I'm known. And I can trust. And then so many different things in that relationship become a gift.
I feel like in the relationship with God, when you give him gifts back, I feel like he isn't looking for like something like great and big and something like gold. Maybe all he's looking for is just your time.
Wow.
Just your time and being there with him and being able to pray and talk with him. Just like maybe parents want to. Maybe all they want to do is obviously they want to have a nice relationship with their kids. And they want to spend time with them and build their relationship, build trust.
Yeah.
And in that, maybe the kids will be able to be seen. And I feel like there will be a tighter bond there.
It's so cool because I feel like it's totally connected to Yvette's not here with us, but this was totally her sharing of last week when she was sharing about getting to know God, your Father, and parents, and what a great connection. And how true is that?
Yeah. Yeah, I love the connection to the parents and the father. I think that's a really big thing that I've been learning recently. We're reading a book. Shout out to the Friars again.
The CFRs.
In this book, there was a story about a father who was spending time with his daughter. There's a whole story behind it, but basically he was taking care of her. And he said it was one of the greatest gifts to take care of her and to spend time with her. And I'm probably not quoting it exactly correctly, but I'm not a parent. But I imagine being a parent, all you want to give to your child, and imagining that as humans, and then imagining that as God the Father is just taken to a whole other level. My dad this year wished me a happy birthday. And there was this healing that was going on with my birthday, because I associated my birthday a lot with some hard times in the past couple of years. So this birthday was really special to me in a sense of, I don't know, like a specific time in my life where there was healing. I can't find the word, but it was a moment that I was ready to celebrate very differently than I had in the past. Like really celebrate me, you know? And that sounds weird. It's like, oh, okay, let's celebrate me. I'm ready. But my dad said this most beautiful thing to me the morning of my birthday. He wished me a happy birthday, and he said I was such a gift. And I remember just being so blown away by that word, to think of yourself as a gift. Like, we don't think of ourselves that way. We can think of other people that way very easily, but we don't always look at ourselves as a gift. And when someone tells you that you are such a gift, and he also told me that in the same message that I'm the one who started my, I think his words were, got the family going. And to think that like the gift of me changed the outcome of my whole family, which is like one of the most beautiful things anyone said,
It's beautiful. And it reminds me of like that puzzle, like last week when we were talking or whichever week that was, and we were talking about God's vision versus our vision and this giant puzzle. And it's like you're a piece of that puzzle. And just that revelation of your dad's words is such a beautiful testimony to the mystery of how important each one of us are in this giant masterpiece of family, so to speak, which I think is so beautiful. And just hearing those words, I remember, because it was your birthday, and I do know that you entered into it in a different way this year than in the past couple of years. And to hear that, like your joy in knowing, like to me, that's the exact way to describe being seen and being known and being loved and being wanted, which is like a whole other level. When people value you to that extent, it's sometimes hard to even imagine that it's real.
I feel like in the Bible, it talks about loving your neighbor as you love yourself. Mm-hmm. But I think a lot of people mainly only see as Marissa said, about the gift usually being someone else as a gift. Mm-hmm. If you view them as a gift, why can't you view yourself as a gift?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Love yourself as you love your neighbor. I mean, it's
really hard to do. Those words that your dad spoke were such words of truth. And I think a lot of times we don't necessarily hold on to those words. Instead, we hold on to other words that were said that were maybe not as positive. And then that doesn't give us an ability to really become the gift, to be able to be received. And I think that's the normal struggle of life. People struggle with being accepted and being seen. I know for myself, when I think of gift, which is so interesting, I think of my first prayer group that I ever met. I was this 20, maybe 23-year-old kid, and I had a bit of a chip on my shoulder. And I remember I walked into this place with these people, and they were, I would call them maybe super Christians. They were like, oh my gosh, welcome, welcome. And they were so kind, and they were so loving, and they were so open to receive me. If I'm honest, I did not want to receive any one of them. Like I was like there almost under duress. But at the end of the day, I kept going back to that group of people. And I just remember at one point seeing them as being such beautiful gifts to me because they were so free. Like they were so free to I almost would consider myself like a porcupine. Like I was like, I was like pointy, don't come too close because she's gonna be like a problem. But they didn't care, they were just coming on in and just like so open to receive, like they wanted to receive me. And I feel like that's what a relationship with God has the potential to do. Like it has the potential to free you to be able to welcome people who maybe sometimes you don't really want to.
It reminds me of the boxing gym a lot. I mean, we all view each other. Well, I hope we all view each other as a sort of family. Mm-hmm. It's like you always have a close bond there because you're bleeding with these people. And I feel like you can see that it's almost like siblinghood there. Even a relationship with the coach is like a father.
Mhm.
Well, for
Father
me, it's
figure.
like a father and a son. And I feel like that's how it is with God too. And I feel like having God there also helps build relationships, as my mom said, with others who you may not view as someone you may want to be friends with or may be kind with. But I feel like you could always find that way to show respect to them. And I feel like that is a gift, having that ability to show respect to people who maybe you felt disrespected by in the past, even.
Yeah, I'm just going back to the gift of time. I'm thinking of Matthew Kelly talking about carefree timelessness with the people that you love and the gift of time of doing nothing
Mhm.
with the people that you love or the people that you want to surround yourself with leads to the gift of joy and laughter. Laughter, joy and laughter. I mean, when that happens inside of you and you just laugh or feel that joy like bursting out of you, like it's just such a beautiful moment. And we all deserve it.
Mhm.
We all deserve it. And we all, probably could be a little bit better at receiving it or being open to it.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think a lot of times, like, it's sort of like that's how I was. I was not very open to receiving it, but those people didn't care. They were like so free in that way. But it reminds me of the woman at the well. Like, she shows up at this place that she's not welcome. So those of you who don't know the Bible story, this is the story of the woman at the well. And she shows up and she's not welcome there when everybody else is supposed to go because she's not seen as somebody who is, I guess, worthy, we would say. She's an outcast. And she knows it. And she shows up at a time that she thinks she's going to be safe from being seen by other people. And Jesus shows up because he knows she's going to be there. And he just goes and he looks at her. And he just starts this conversation. And at first, she doesn't want to engage. She's like, why are you talking to me? What do you want? I'm not who you're looking for, basically. Which is very similar to what I was saying to those people. And then he doesn't care. He just pushes further. And if you see the way that The Chosen does it in the TV show, the way that The Chosen shows the woman at the well, it's like when she realizes that he does see her and he does know her and he knows the good and he knows the bad and he doesn't care. He just meets her there and he's like, nope, I'm for you. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, obviously, the entire Bible. It's like the Bible in like street language or something. But he's just basically like looking at her and he's like, no, I see you. And she believes it. And when she believes it, you see, it's like in the Bible, they call it the oil of gladness. There is this joy. And she can't wait to share it with the whole entire world. And she doesn't care whether she's going to get received or not because she already received the gift. She already received the gift of being known.
I feel like even with the apostles, they were viewed as bottom of the barrel too. And I feel like sometimes we view ourselves as bottom of the barrel and like, why would we be worthy? And it's kind of like, maybe it's his reckless love. He's willing to tear down mountains to get to you, put you on his shoulder and make you realize you are worthy of it.
Wow. I love that. You just combined like a whole bunch of different Bible stories into one. The lost sheep combined with the climbing of the mountain and wow.
Yeah, that was beautiful. I think that a lot of times when we go into an empty church to pray, we feel like we're going for ourselves, especially in the beginning for me. When I began my faith journey, it was like, all right, I'm really struggling today. I have got to get to that chapel and sit in front of the tabernacle. And so I go for me and then I receive. Mm-hmm. And then as I grew in my faith, I realized I wanted to go on the good days too, because I wanted to share it with Jesus. And when we go, we feel like it's because we're in need of something from him. What we don't realize is that when we go, we are just as much a gift to him in that moment than he is to us in that moment. And I had a really cool experience last night. I went to Mass unexpectedly, really. And the most beautiful priest was there. And he had a homily. His homily was about receiving Jesus. And he basically said, every time you come to adoration or Mass or an empty church, are you going to jump into Jesus's arms? You know, he's receiving us, we're receiving him. And I saw myself jumping into his arms at all different ages. It was the silliest thing. I was like a little girl, and then I was a teenager, and then I was, my adult self. And I was even an old lady. And I was like, Jesus, I can't jump. Can you pick me up? And he did. He did. And I said to him in my prayer, you are one of the greatest gifts. You are the greatest gifts. And what he said back to me was, so are you.
Wow.
This reminds me of the first time I ever went to Mass by myself.
Yes.
And I was sitting in there, and I was nervous because it's like, oh, I've never been in here like alone for Mass before. But by the end of the Mass, and I think I walked out and told you, Mom,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, wow, I wasn't alone in there.
No.
My whole family was there.
Yeah.
They were all my family, everyone there, including God, Jesus, especially. But every person in there, every person in the pews, they were all my family.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. I love every part of that. And I do remember that day. And of course, there were some people there that you did know, but I remember it didn't matter. You felt very connected. And I think that's all he wants.
Yeah.
I think that's all he wants. I think he just wants us to be willing to go and be the gift. And then he wants to be a gift to us. It's such an interesting thing to think of that. Like how we go for him because we need, a lot of times it's for desperation or whatever's happening. But it's just as much of a gift to him, which is fascinating because you don't always imagine that there would be such joy from him just because we show up.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to think of it like that. And I think we all kind of start somewhere and get there when we can and how we can. And I think that your story of, some days it was just because you felt like you had to.
Mm-hmm.
And then it became something else. And I think that's the beauty of the journey. It's the acceptance of where we are on that walk when we are able to receive and how much. Everyone's different and everyone's at a different place.
Definitely. Jesus also gives us gifts in a sense of our talents. We all have certain gifts. James, yours is boxing. Janine, yours is this encouragement, this teaching. Mine, you might say, is writing. It's so beautiful watching people use their gifts. Mm. And I think the more we use our gifts in that sense, in his name, and what he really planted in us, because that's what makes us beautiful. That's what makes us unique, our own individual gifts. No one's ever going to have the same gifts as you. And he gives us those. So do we receive them? Do I receive that at one point in my life, he activated this gift of writing in me? And if I receive it and then I use it and then I share it.
Wow. It's a ripple effect.
Yeah. And then I more into who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I grow more into my true self,
mm-hmm.
or just this version of me that feels a little bit more whole.
Mm-hmm.
And when you use the gift from him, it just changes how you, I don't want to say who you are, but how you act.
And how you view yourself.
How you view yourself. You just become more whole. And that's the word that just keeps coming to me, is more whole.
And I know with boxing, for a while, I think both of you know this, I struggled a little bit at first, for a while, with who I was actually using my skill in boxing for. At first, I was always doing it to kind of, I guess, get the respect from my dad and my coach, and always trying to meet their standards. until I remember one specific thing. It was after the prayer meeting, and I realized I should be doing this for God. And I remember before one of my fights, one of my mom's friends texted her and said that I got to do it for God, whether it's a win or a loss. That no matter what, I got to do it for God, for His glory.
And He wanted you to have fun. Like, I just remember it was like, boxing is what you love. You've loved it since you're 8. And if you're going to get in that ring and do that, which is not my favorite sport in the world, but if you're going to get in that ring and you're going to do that, you need to make sure that it's making you feel alive. And it always made you feel alive. And when it became something else, more of a burden than a joy, then it's like, then you know it's not His plan at that time. That's the difference, I think, in you. It was like the love of boxing and the joy of it. Again, it's the gift. It's a gift that you have, and it just brought you to life. And I think this is like a good place for us to kind of circle back to take this to the end. I think that when our gifts are activated and we're able to embrace the gifts that have been given to us and to give them away, it does help with your identity. Because I think so many times we listen to something that's not true. You know, we listen to a voice like, you're not worthy, you're not beautiful, you're not enough. But when you're using your gifts and you're listening to this other voice that says, you are worthy, you are enough, and this is what you were made for, I think it channels everything into a voice of love and a voice of truth and a voice of hope, as opposed to something else. And what is our world missing? So many times people are missing that feeling of purpose, that feeling of worthiness. You know, boxing doesn't define you, but it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
You know, writing, again, it doesn't define you, but it's fun, encouraging, which is such a funny thing. Like, people think of me, but like, I do like to encourage people. It's something that I do like to do. And again, it doesn't define me. I teach, I'm a teacher, but it's not all that I am, but it is fun.
Our identity isn't confined by that. Our identity is a child of God.
Yeah.
Amen.
And then it's different, right? You're a little bit more free. All right. So are we ready for our extraordinary in the ordinary?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Maybe I'll go first this week.
Sounds
Sure.
great.
Okay. So mine is interesting. So I had to get some blood work done this week. And my miracle is that, first of all, I even signed up for my blood work because I'm the worst ever when it comes to that. But I was like, I signed up for my blood work. I had the location. I had the date. I had everything. I screenshotted it. I saved it in my phone. And I do all my fasting and I get up for my blood work. And something says to me, just check and make sure that, your time is right or whatever. Just check your phone. So I go and I look in my phone and I'm like, this is weird. Like, I can't find the message that I screenshotted that had my time for my appointment. And I was like, oh, this is so strange. Where did it go? So I logged back into the lab's website, and it turns out my appointment is not the day that I thought. It's the next day. And I was like, oh, that's so strange. But I'm like, whatever, I guess my appointment's tomorrow, which was a little bit annoying. And then with that, a friend of mine asks me to take her to work. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is like perfect because, I have so much blood work to get done because I never do it when I'm supposed to. So I have like so much. I'm like, oh, this is good. If I pass out, at least I'm not alone. But then the next day, my blood work is at a completely different location than I thought I signed up for. I show up at the place. The woman is like, she's like an angel, walks out. Excuse me, Janine, come on in. I'm like literally in and out of the lab in minutes. Everything went perfectly. My friend and I wound up getting to work like perfectly on time, no issues. But it was like at a lab place that I did not sign up for on a day that I know I did not sign up for. So whatever happened there, my blood work was a total miracle. And I was really happy to get it done and to have my friend with me.
I love that.
It was crazy.
That's crazy. My tiny miracle of the week is we are recording at my house, and I try and have the mic set up and the table set up. It's not a system we keep set up all the time. And I kept saying to Janine since the first week, I really wish I had stickers so I can really identify everybody's mic and headphones and I don't mix anyone's up. And for weeks, I just kept talking about these stickers and how this is Yvette's, this is Janine's, and just going on. And I spilt coffee on my calendar at work and I couldn't look at the coffee stain. So I bought a new calendar. The new calendar comes and what do you know? There's sheets of stickers circle stickers that I can write on and label. And so if you notice in our video, we all have labeled stickers on our mics and headphones now. So my tiny miracle is stickers.
My miracle actually comes with boxing this week. I was at the gym and there was another gym coming to spar. And after sparring, I go into the locker room and I talk with the kid a bit. And while I'm talking with him, I actually bring up some stuff. And it turns out he's actually a man of God too. Mm. And I thought that was just really great to see. And then lo and behold, another guy walks in. He's like, "Oh, what are you guys talking about?" And we say, obviously, we're talking about God and Jesus. And the guy says, "I'm proud of you guys."
I love that.
Wow.
And it was just great to be able to talk with them. And I feel like sometimes at the gym, maybe they don't exactly understand. Or even with my own friends, it's kind of like hard to get them to like understand, I guess, with me. Mm-hmm. At least on the God part. And having those two there that night, it was so like encouraging and powerful, I feel like. And it was beautiful.
Yeah. I love that you came home. You were really excited. And those boys were older than you. They were like 17 coming in from the Bronx. And it was like really cool. He came home and he was like really happy to have met them. And they were super encouraging. Who knows? Maybe they'll hear the podcast.
I love that. All right. Well, thank you all for listening. I just have to say that listeners, you are a gift to us. Every week when we hear, that is all. You are a gift. So thank you.
Thank you.
And as Yvette would say, welcome home, people.
Welcome home.
We encourage you to keep listening to this podcast, and
we won't be perfect. We promise you that.
Yeah.
And we just want to let you know that you are welcome here in your imperfections and in your inability to maybe feel like you deserve love. You're just welcome. Everyone, anywhere, any place.
Welcome home, people.
Welcome home.